Hello folks, I'm the old sergeant, wearing my veteran's vest because it seems that it really annoys my leftist critics. Yesterday, I went in and personally voted to make sure I didn't have to worry about that anymore. There's a lot of stuff going on in our country right now, and I want to tell you about why I love my country so much. I started out at the lowest of the low. I was a foster kid. I was being shuffled from foster home to foster home every 2 weeks. They did that to make sure that no permanent bonds were made between the parents and the kids. A lot of times we were just nothing but money. So they'd shove us in a room, feed us once in a while, and get the big bucks from the state. In my case, they ran out of foster homes, and so they decided the very good thing to do was to put me into a juvenile prison. So, there I was, the lowest of the low in a country. Well, as things turns out, in this country, it provides more opportunities than you know what to do with. When I was a teenager, I was flying aircraft in the Civil Air Patrol. Now tell me, what countries is the lowest of the low teenager going to be given the keys to an aircraft and said, go fly it? Of course, I was taught how to fly it first. I used to work a lot of different jobs as a teenager. In the morning, I would mow lawns. In the afternoon, I would work for the Forest Service, cleaning up campgrounds and cleaning toilets and all that wonderful stuff. And in the evening, I washed dishes. And this gave me the spending money to be able to pay for the fuel for the aircraft I was flying. What other country has these type of opportunities where a teenager can go and earn money like that in the summer and earn enough pocket change to carry him over through the winter months? So not only did I get to fly aircraft, I get to serve on ground search and rescue teams. That was really something for a teenager, and great responsibility for a teenager. Then I joined the United States Air Force. Because I was in the Civil Air Patrol, they gave me a couple of stripes to join. And the lowest of the low, managed to work my way up to when I retired as a senior non-commissioned officer. There wasn't any class or status barriers to preventing me from achieving that rank. It was America. And during that time, the government helped me get 2 associate and applied science degrees. And then after I retired, I was through the government, and my service was able to complete a bachelor's in computer science to become an engineer. So later I was able to write software for Army Special Forces helicopters. Now that was something else. Lowest of the low was able to become an engineer. Then I became very sick with a very rare illness. So sick that I couldn't work anymore. But in this country, they take care of sick people with like the Social Security disability insurance for people that just get sick and can't continue to work. So instead of living under a bridge someplace, I'm doing okay. All because of being an American. Now, achieving all this, A lot of folks would say, well, that was just your white privilege. No, it wasn't white privilege. It was American privilege. The privilege of being an American and seeing and taking advantage of all the opportunities being an American gives you. And it doesn't matter what color your skin is. You're going to get those opportunities. And I've seen a lot of black men and women in the military taking an advantage of those opportunities. So we have an election coming up. Very serious election. We have a lot of people that hate this country. They've been fed a load of BS by the teachers, by the universities, by the mainstream media. They're fed communism and how great and wonderful communism is, and it always sounds good. That's why it's easy to convince people that it's a great and wonderful thing. But I've seen in my lifetime what communism does. I see how it destroys people. I see how it destroys nations. I see how many people die so that a few can have power over the many. And the fact that they're living in luxury, the fact that all the people under them are living in squalor pleases them. And this is what we have a lot of people in this country fighting for. They're fighting. They're marching in the streets. They're burning down communities because they want to burn it all down. All the great things that this country has done and accomplished. All the great things this country continues to do. The United States has pulled up the entire world. We went from plowing fields with sticks in less than 200 years, putting men on the moon. Because we're Americans. We do that kind of thing. We're the people that if there's a natural disaster around the world, we're the ones that come rushing in to help. That's some of the big activities that our military does. Is running around the planet when necessary to help people. To provide the fresh water, the power, the doctors. That's one of the things we really like to do. America, yes, had its faults. But you don't sit there and harp over them and blow them up way out of proportion. You don't lie about them. Because on balance, America is the greatest country that has ever existed. We are a good people. Tocqueville said that America is good because America's people is good. And we want to achieve things. We want to build things. We've got a billionaire that decided he wants to build rockets to go to Mars and the moon and to send people to the International Space Station just because he wants to. Where else on this planet are you going to have a country that's set up for that kind of thing? Where else but America? Yet we have people that want to destroy it, burn it all down because they don't understand. They bought into this idea of communism. So we have an election coming up and we have a choice. We know that on one side, if they're elected, our rights are gone. They will pack the Supreme Court with their people. And that's just the start. They're going to work with the tech industry to completely ban anybody that's not them. Social credit scores. Oh, you have the wrong think? Well, you don't really need this bank account anymore. We don't want to be associated with you. Oh, your credit cards. Oh, we don't want to be associated with you. Oh, your social media. Well, you're just talking hate speech when you're talking about love of America, so we're just going to ban you. and all patriotic speech will be expunged. And there'll be police at your door to confiscate your weapons. Freedom will be gone under the tyranny of an oligarchy, under communism. And many people are going to go to the re-education camps, and the ones that can't be re-educated, well, they've built a whole bunch of guillotines. And they said they intend to use them. They said they are intending to get rid of the Constitution of the United States, all for the power of an oligarchy. So some people at the top can feel glee over the power they have and the misery they can inflict. We have two parties, one that has been taken over by extreme socialists, extremely leftists. The old John Kennedy Democrats, they're all gone, kicked out of the party, or they just left the party. And then we have the Republican Party, which is mostly a bunch of wimps. They sit around as the big bully hits them, and they cower in the corner and do nothing, even though they may have the power to do something about it. They cower in the corner and do nothing. And of course, when the president is trying to stop this endless overseas wars, well, he doesn't get much help from the Republican Party either. Because, after all the donations that they get from the military-industrial complex. So who do we have hanging on for liberty, not only in the United States, but the entire world? Because if we go down, the world goes down. If we're not that shining city on the hill, then nobody has anybody to look up to. You're not going to have the people in Hong Kong flying American flags and singing the American national anthem because they know who we are and what we represent. The times people overseas get mad at us is that when we don't live up to who we are as a people. So what do we have is we have an executive branch who has faced nothing but attacks after attacks after attacks. Why? Because he's coming in to expose all this power that these people have, and that they do nothing but consolidate their power. They don't care about helping the American people. All they care about is their power and their standing in the local cocktail party network. All we have is the executive branch of the United States, and they'll do anything they can to get rid of that man, to get rid of Orange Man Bad. They'll do everything. And right now we have a Supreme Court that says, yeah, you can create ballots and count them, and create ballots and count them until you win. And there we are. If the president wins, then we just have a chance of saving this country, to saving our republic. It's not done then. We need to get out personally and do things to restore the republic. For example, all you parents out there, you need to get on these schools, on these universities, finding out what curricula is being taught to your kids, being able to audit classes. Parents should be able to come in and sit in the back of the class to see what these people are teaching. And even better, cameras in every classroom, so parents can watch from home what these teachers are trying to indoctrinate their kids with. We have a lot of different things we can do. Maybe we can even convince some of these young rich kids that are out there in Antifa burning things that there are other things they can do to actually improve the human condition. There's a lot of kids out there that mothers desperately try to get into private schools because they know that's the only hope for the kids. That's their only hope. How about you Anafa kids go out and start tutoring and getting these young kids up to standards in their reading, writing, and arithmetic? We'll be fighting against what was called the mainstream or legacy media. That's nothing but propaganda. When I was growing up, we had things like the Huntley-Brinkley Report, Walter Cronkite. You didn't know what their political standing was. You just got the news. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. The basic tenets of actual journalism. They just told you what happened. And not only did they tell you what happened, like the national disasters that's happened in the United States, you never hear anything about them, because that would take away from their talking about Orange Man bad and just hammering and hammering and hammering the opposition constantly. Back then, we would know what was going on overseas, because not only did we get the stateside news, but we had basic overseas news, and we had reporters over there. And it wasn't a profit center. They all knew that it was a loss to produce the news, but the companies felt it was important to do. And now we have nothing but propaganda. So we have the internet. At first there was a lot of freedom there, and then the tech giants decided to start getting rid of all conservatives. Recently I saw a whole list of people that I normally watch on YouTube gone. Why? They're conservatives and they were effective. So they're just taken out. Heck, I expect to be taken out at any time, even though I'm a small guy. They take out a lot of small guys. So there's a lot to do. You have to vote. Go out and vote now. In person. Make sure that you're not going to be standing in 5-mile long lines on election day. Get it out of the way so you know that there's no problem there. And you definitely know where I stand. I look at this and I see what's going to happen if we lose. I put in 20 years in the military, and I have the right and the honor to be buried with heroes in a national cemetery. Well, I know if the other side wins, I'm not going to be buried in a national cemetery. I wrong think. They'll just kill me and pile me in a hole with a bunch of other bodies. Now, my friends think that's being a bit hyperbolic. I don't think so. I know that we are really close to a civil war, and I know what a civil war does. And what's really serious, the communists want to take over this country, and by doing that, they have to destroy this country. They have to destroy our history. That's why they pull down statues of everybody. That's why they burn things out of museums. That's part of communist strategy, is you destroy the country so you can lie about it. All the wonderful things the country did, its heroes, its history, its traditions, its culture, is going to be destroyed and replaced with a new one. Now the trouble is, we managed to build up China. Thank you, Democrats, again, for shifting all our manufacturing overseas, especially to China, and our technology over to China, to turn them into a real world threat. And they are such a threat. And what their leadership, their military leadership has already said, is they are planning to take the United States. And they're not planning to enslave the population. They just plan to kill us all. They've actually stated that in the open. Their plan is to invade America and kill us all, and replace us with Chinese, and to gather all resources, and they will expunge the existence of America from history. It's that serious. That's what this election is about, is the future of America. Are we going to continue to be a force for good in the world? That shining city on the hill, are we going to continue to be that? Or are we going to be just a footnote in history? Our founding documents gone. The Bible, Christianity gone. And a lot of it may hinge on who is elected president in a few weeks. Hopefully God wants us around, wants us to continue to be a force for good in the world, to achieve great achievements, to reach for the stars. I hope that's what God wants to allow us to do, what He wants us to do. Otherwise, the future of America and the future of the planet really is at stake. I'm the old sergeant. Please pray for this nation. Take what actions you need to take. Vote. Be well.